Hey guys, this is Sumner from landinvestor.co, and in this video we're going to talk about messy action versus perfection and how this is going to help you scale up faster in your land investing business. Let's dive in. But before we do, I hope you guys are enjoying the backdrop. Give it a thumbs up for being in a beautiful place to film what I think is going to be a beautiful video. I'm out here in Southern Oregon, and truthfully this is one of the beauties of running a land investing business. Is really it's about the location independence. It's about the ability to dictate your time. Today's a Monday. I've yet to check my phone. It's 10:27 a.m. I haven't checked my emails. I know my team is out there cranking and doing deals and getting things done. And that is one of the beauties of building a highly leveraged land investing business. But more on that down below in the links if you guys want to learn a little bit more about our land investing approach. What we're going to talk about here is just some really interesting feedback that I've taken away from the students that have been joining our program and comparing their experience of just getting started in the world of land investing versus my experience and some of the differences that I see there and why I believe I was able to scale up faster than some of them, and why I also think that there's some people in the program that will scale up way faster than I will. And what is that common thread? What is that thing that's allowing some folks to go and really hit it hard in 6 months and go full-time in the land investing business versus the folks that slow roll it for 2 or 3 years and maybe never even go full-time? And I think it comes down to this concept of sloppy action versus perfection. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I think there's so many folks getting started in land investing who care about the wrong things. Instead of looking at the needle moving activities in their business, they're looking at the things which they've been conditioned to believe that actually matter, like starting an LLC, opening a business bank account, finding a doing business as selecting a DBA for their business, finding the perfect land investing market, finding the perfect CRM, on and on and on again, yet they are spending no time focusing on the activities which are really going to push the needle in their business. And in my opinion, I think a lot of this comes from conditioning, right? What we're told that we need to do when starting a business. The reality is most people have never started a business, and yet they still want to preach advice like, oh, before you start a business, you need a business bank account. Before you start a business, you need an LLC. Well, I'm not going to take advice from someone that's never actually done it. And what I found is that stuff at 9.9 times out of 10 is absolutely irrelevant. Now, point B, or the second reason, is that I think there's actually a lot of fear, and this is a way to slow down the inevitable, slow down the, oh, what if this doesn't work, right? Because once we actually start getting out there and going into the unknown, which might be actually sending our direct mail campaigns, talking to sellers, negotiating a deal, listing a property, doing the things which have a lot of ambiguity behind them where there's a risk of doing it wrong, is where most people get hung up, and it's too scary. And so they would rather work on the small meaningless tasks to feel like they're being productive, yet they're just prolonging the inevitable. So let me reverse it back to my story. When I first started out, I didn't launch an LLC for the first 12 months. I didn't have a business bank account. I changed my business name from the Land Sherpa to the Land Pioneer in the first year. I bought many deals which were just subpar, landlocked properties that had a $600 spread on them. I'd buy them for $2,000, sell them for $2,600, like deals which were objectively not great. I would go after markets where it was me just really throwing darts at a board, like, hey, I've been to this place before and I know a little bit about the area, maybe I should send mail there. There was no real rhythm or reason behind my marketing choices or the properties that I was going after, yet I was taking consistent sloppy action. I started my business in June of 2019, yet I didn't do my first deal into January of 2020. There was just a lot of really sloppy action, and I could have shortened that time frame if I actually had the correct information. I was just really going off of a hunch and a prayer, right? I was sending handwritten letters to folks. I was doing things in a very weird fashion because I just didn't really know better. I didn't really know that there was any content or courses out there that could have assisted me at the time. So I think I could have distilled that learning curve down and done deals a little bit faster. But here's the kicker. I had 6 months of me just throwing things at the board. I was not worried about any of the things that other people told me mattered when starting a business. Did my first deal in January of 2020, and then did over 60 deals within January 2020 to December of 2020. I've been working sales over at a company called Slide Genius here in San Diego. I knew I wanted to get out of there. I gave myself a year to figure it out. And so from January to December, I did everything within my power to get out of there. And the only thing that mattered to me was market research, sending mail, talking to sellers, listing properties, and talking to buyers. Those were all the variables that mattered. Everything else was irrelevant because I knew those were the needle moving activities. In my second year, we did over 220 deals, and it was really from taking the same philosophy. And still to this day in my business, I just look at it, what are the things that are going to move the needle, right? We've all got a finite amount of time within our life and a finite amount of time within the day. And so if we can figure out how to best utilize our hours by figuring out what is going to have the maximum output from the minimum input. Starting an LLC, very little output, does very, very little for you, but requires a decent amount of input to actually go and get it set up and registered with the state. If I took that same amount of time and directed it towards sending direct mail campaigns or cold calling sellers or following up with sellers or talking to buyers, whatever it may be, that same amount of time is going to have a much larger output on the back end. So if we're getting started in land investing and our goal is to go full time in our business or to hit $1 million or $2 million in revenue, whatever the goal may be, we need to figure out what are the things that actually matter. Just start pulling those levers and ignore everything else. Now, yes, at a certain point, you are going to have to go and do the foundational things like get a business bank account, start an LLC, all those things, they do matter. They do have a time and place in your business, but I don't think it's from day one. And so the folks that have been joining our Land Investor Accelerator program, I see two different schools of thought. Some come in and they say, I'm coming in guns a-blazing, I'm gonna light stuff on fire and I'm gonna make this work. And I'll figure out everything else once everything's on fire and it's just blazing. We've got some people that wanna come in and really slow roll it. They just wanna say, hey, I wanna be very conservative, I'm a little bit cautious, I wanna make sure that I do things correctly. And to me, this is the defining characteristic of an entrepreneur. They're gonna come in, they're gonna go ready, fire, then aim. Or these folks that are coming in that are a little more traditional, maybe they've been working in the corporate world for a few years, or maybe they grew up in a family where they didn't have a whole lot of autonomy or a whole lot of freedom, so they're very used to following order and they like to have structure and they like to have security. To me, that just doesn't exist in the world of building businesses. And so if you're starting out and you feel like, yes, Sumner, this resonates with me, I feel like I'm one of those people that is prolonging the inevitable and I'm scared to work on the things that seem to really matter, and I want order and I want to have a very clear path of what needs to be done, then I think you need to start to unwind that and realize that starting a business, whether it's a land investing business or any other business, you need to get over that, because that is just not how things are going to play out in the real world. One of the biggest things that we engineer for within our land investing program is we're really looking to get a quick win under someone's belt as soon as possible. What I know from my experience and coaching dozens of other land investors is that that quick win is going to give you that momentum that you need to keep on going. The reality is all humans have a finite amount of discipline. We have a finite amount of willpower. And so going 6 months or a year without actually seeing any tangible results, it's going to make it very, very difficult to keep on pushing that boulder up the hill. And so by taking messy action and really starting to focus on the things that are going to move the needle within our business, we're going to increase the likelihood that we're going to get a quick win initially. And that quick win is going to feed into our momentum. It's going to feed into our excitement, into our motivation, and we want to keep that fire alive. And so really what we aim for within our program is we want to see someone go full cycle on a deal within their first 90 days in the program. Because what I've seen is that seems to be the line in the sand for newer land investors. If they can't get a deal done in the first 3 months, it can be really, really difficult to keep on investing in marketing, keep on investing into, paying the monthly bills for their software. And so we want to make sure that we get that quick win under their belt, build that momentum, and then allow it to naturally stack from there. But in order to do that, you need to understand that messy action is required. Perfection really does not exist, especially when you're first starting out. Assume that everything is going to be ugly and messy, and there's really nothing pretty about that process, but it's going to be what propels you forward. I know this is incredibly rambly, but this is a topic which I am very passionate about because I think I fall on the extreme spectrum of messy action, maybe to a point that's actually borderline unhealthy in terms of how I perform, but I think it's allowed me to work through multiple businesses, multiple ventures, and consistently find a pretty high hit rate or a pretty high success rate, because I've just been able to adopt the belief that I'm gonna figure out what levers need to be pulled, just pull those levers, ignore everything else for the first 6 to 12 months, and then I can start figuring out the kind of foundational elements that need to be done to really start building a business from there. But in the beginning, I just want to engineer for a quick win. For me, perfection is never something that I seek. It's never something that I chase, especially in the beginning. So hopefully this inspires you. If you feel like you're a perfectionist, let's unwind that belief. Let's start taking messy action. Let's go do some freaking land deals. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up for the beautiful backdrop here in Southern Oregon. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.